Hey guys, this is Kevin for Pixavert.com. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at Darktable 3, and in particular, I'm going to be taking a look at the user interface. There are quite a lot of new things, shortcuts and other things inside of the user interface. However, I have covered some other features already, so there are a couple of videos that I've done using the release candidate for Darktable 3, and you might want to see those videos before watching this one just to get up to speed. Now, the first thing is we are here in Darktable, and as you can see, I can just click and drag on one image and it will move the other image. I'm in the culling mode and I've limited the number of images to 2 using dynamic zoom, and this mode allows me to zoom in this way using control and the wheel, the mouse wheel. As you can see, sometimes it does take a little bit of time to catch up, and we can zoom out again, and this is something that makes it easy to compare 2 images. Now in this particular case, I've got 2 images that are identical, but I've made a copy of one, and you might remember these images from the Lightroom versus Darktable tutorial that I did a while back, and basically you can do this with any images. So you can do this with these 2 images, and it's basically something that I think will be useful if you've got a whole series of images that need to be compared one next to the other. We can get this kind of layout using a number of shortcut keys, so I will look at those a little bit later on. But what I want to do is to show you something that has changed since the last 2 videos that I did. We're going to go to the darkroom. We're in darkroom here, and what I want to show you is over here in the editing area, in the history area, there are a bunch of new icons that have appeared, and these ones show you whether or not the particular feature has been applied to an image, and if it has been applied automatically, it will have a circle with a dot inside it, and those are the modules that you can't turn off. The other modules will have the power symbol inside of them, and I think those are the ones that you can turn off. So you can see 2 modules here have been turned off, and you can see the power icons have been turned off. So that's something which has been added recently, and it shows you if you have a completely clean image. Let's grab a clean image. This one hasn't been edited as far as I'm aware, so you can see this is the default set, and this default set contains all the edits that you'd expect to find in a typical raw file. Now, if you were to say compress the history stack, nothing happens because all of these are the default settings. You can, I think, click away from the base curve and go before the base curve, and then you can go ahead and choose something like the RGB, the filmic RGB, which is the new form of the RGB, which is the new form of the filmic module, and that will replace the base curve. So most of these can't really be switched off or replaced, but 1 or 2 of them can be. I want to take a little bit of a closer look at the new themes. So if we go into the preferences, you can see here that we've got what it's calling here the Darktable Elegant Darker theme, and I put here original because I actually edited this so that it looks a little bit different. Now, in order to get it to look like this, you actually need to download a couple of fonts. So let's look at the fonts that you need to get this kind of appearance, and the appearance I'm talking about is basically having this font. Now, that font probably appears in Linux, but in here in Windows, you find that you don't have the Roboto font, and you need to install that to get the desired appearance. So I'm here on the Google Fonts page. We find here the Roboto font, and we can actually find that there are other versions of that font. So if I type in Roboto, you'll find that there are 4 different categories of this font. What we need for Darktable is to download, I think, the Roboto and the condensed version. So we just click on the add icons. We get this thing down here, and we click on the download button, and it will allow us to download the fonts. So what you need to do is to unzip it, and you'll find the various fonts inside the zip folder. Now, once they're installed, this is what things will look like. What I did was that I went in, because I didn't find the contrast good enough for this particular theme. So I went in and created a somewhat more intense font, a somewhat stronger font, a little bit bolder. And I think this comes through a little bit easier on the tutorials. I think you can see what's going on a little bit easier. So I'm going to be using this one instead. And to get that one just involves editing a bunch of CSS files. Now, if you know how to do that, you can actually create your own themes inside of Darktable 3.0. It uses GTK Plus and CSS to create these themes. Now, whilst we are here in the darkroom, let's take a look at some of the new shortcut keys for controlling the interface. Just basically the most useful or the most universal things, which is the new stuff that affects the interface. We have a bunch of Control-Shift shortcut keys, or that's going to be Command-Shift on the Mac. And what we do is hit Control-Shift and L to get rid of the left panel, R to get rid of the right panel, T to get rid of the top, Control-Shift B to get rid of the panel at the bottom, and Control-H to get rid of the stuff that's remaining. The B key gets rid of the icons at the sides there. So you can have a very clean work area, and at any time you want, you can say Control-Shift-R to bring back the right panel. The tab keys still work as usual, and Control-F should bring up the film strip. So you've got a bunch of new ways of controlling the appearance of the software. The next thing I think we should look at is the shortcut key menu. So if you hold down H, and it has to be small h, you can get all the shortcut keys that you've set up for the particular section that you're working on. So here I'm in darkroom. So holding down H brings up the shortcuts that I've set up here. Most of these are the default setup. Most of these are the default shortcuts. But you can see here, this is the E shortcut that I created for the exposure. And this allows me to hold down E and to change the exposure as I wish. And I think I showed that in a previous video. What I'm also going to show you is that if you hold down H and hold down Alt and then release the H, the menu will stay up for a while, and then pressing H will get rid of that menu. So that's basically the new features that help us to navigate our way around the interface. A couple of other shortcut keys that I want to show you is Control-Shift-N to get rid of the navigation window, and Control-Shift-H to remove the histogram. So those might help you to just basically get rid of some of the clutter and to make it easier for you to work. I think the idea behind this is to try to create an interface which is much less distracting and much less likely to interfere with your workflow in Darktable 3. The only other thing I would mention is that in Windows here, we can hit F11 to get rid of the title bar, which can be a little bit distracting sometimes. So that's a summary of the shortcut keys that I've learned so far for Darktable 3. That's going to be it for this one. Hope you found it useful. I will see you guys next time. Take care. Bye.